Hey guys, we're going to do racks 11 through 20 on this one while we talk about a couple of different things. Some of this is just kind of self-reflection for me to go back and watch for later, and some of it, might be relevant to where you're at in your game, but I just wanted to get these out there and see if they could help somebody, or like I said, maybe go back at some point watching myself. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was visualization. So it's really hard to stress how important that is when you're playing the game. When you're in dead stroke or you're playing every day, it's probably not as important as it is, unless it's a difficult shot. Then it is obviously something you need to work out mentally. You need to have a good visual path of what you want to do with the cue ball. You want to see the object ball going in, etc. But if you're playing every day and you're in dead punch, you just do what you do. There's no problem with that. But if you are struggling to pocket balls or to get the correct shape, especially for slower players, then you're going to have to learn to visualize every shot, because without that tool, you're basically flying blind. You see a spot, you want to hit it, and you're just looking at that spot. That's just wrong with what could be, it's very problematic. And so they have a lot of different teaching tools on how to do stuff like that, on the ins and outs of what to do and what you're looking to do as far as your visualization. But it's pretty basic on the surface. You're just going to want to take a look at the exact positioning you want for the cue ball for your next ball, and then put a clear picture of that in your mind, where I want that ball to rest, that cue ball. And then you have to go over and you have to take a look at the object ball and really see it going into the correct part of the pocket. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I would recommend you look that up, because the center of the pocket does change. It is something you have to be aware of. Depending on the angle that you're coming in at, the center of the ball may change to, a large degree. It may change from where you're looking at the dead center of the pocket to now you have to hit it over by the right side of the point just to hit the center. And if you don't do that visually and you go a little to the left, well, then you just miss the ball. So that's a whole nother topic. But you really want to look at the entrance point of the angle that you're taking the shot at correctly, and then envision that ball going right into that spot. So visualization is one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because it is something that I really can't stress how important it is. When I didn't do it prior to now doing it, I can tell you the stark contrast is vast. It's a big chasm of difference between actually envisioning the shot with your imagination, visualizing it, and not. So try to work on that if at all possible. And the second thing that I wanted to talk to you about was how important it is to remain calm. There's a lot of people out there who talk about when your heart rate goes up, your body floods with endorphins, your energy level goes high, your fingertips get a little jittery, a little tingly. That's meant for a whole different purpose than pool. So you can have a high level of mental awareness, but still have a real good handle on your physical body, right? So that you're not getting that jittery, overstimulated amount of energy that's going into your blood and pumping your heart at a crazy rate. Because this game is a game of inches and centimeters and millimeters even. And you really have to dial in exactly what you want a lot of times. Sometimes you don't have to do it exactly, but a lot of times you do. And when your heart rate's pumping out of control, your chances of doing that have diminished significantly. So learning to control that aspect of the game, remaining calm throughout the process, trusting in the process, trusting in your training and your fundamentals and your approach and all of that stuff it's so important that it's really hard to even really bring that into the light, in the kind of light that it should be in. Because you've heard it, we've all heard it, you've read about it, we've all read about it, but I'm telling you, the difference in your game when you're in control versus when you lose control.
There is a way to shoot on this table with some finesse.
It's hard to quantify. It really is. So between those two things, staying on top of just those two things while you're playing pool is going to dramatically change the outcome of how you're shooting. And one of the things that I've noticed that people do, kind of techniques, they don't work for me per se, but I notice that they do them, is some people will shoot faster, right? Because they don't give themselves that time to get nervous. They see a shot, they get down, they shoot it. By the time they start thinking about anything, they're on to the next ball or the two balls after that, because they simply just do not allow themselves the time to sit there and process all the different things that can go wrong. They don't want to do that. They play an instinctual game and they get down and they just play pool. And I like watching it. It's it's visually entertaining, but it's not for all of us. And then another thing that you can do and that I think everybody should attempt to do is try to enjoy the game, because if you're enjoying the game and you're having fun, it's going to naturally bring your heart rate down, right? Into a more controllable rate. Because I know that when a few years back they were toying around with heart rate monitors on players, and some of these players, I remember Shane Van Boening in particular, who I remember people used to say had ice water in his veins. He wasn't pumping blood, he was pumping ice water. This guy was as cold and calculated as a human being could be. Well, his heart rate was the highest out of everybody's. His heart rate got up to almost 140. It was like 138 or something like that. That was really shocking to, I think, not just me, but to a lot of people, because you would expect him to be absolutely just, dead inside. He didn't have emotions. He didn't care if he won or lost. He was just going about his business. Well, the truth is that's not at all what his heart rate was showing, right? He was scared to death or nervous or whatever you want to call it. But he's learned to control that to a way that, he's one of the top 3, 4, 5 players on the planet and has been for 20 years. So if you want to cheat that amount of practice or cheat that amount of time that he plays, which most of us on Earth, we don't have that amount of time. One of the things that you can do is just really try to enjoy your sessions, really try to enjoy your time on the table, no matter what you're doing. And that will naturally bring your heart rate down. And if it's high, it can bring it down considerably. So those are two things to consider. But I don't have a real good handle on how to describe this. I can just tell you what it is for me personally. When I'm playing pool, I play my best pool when I find this secret spot inside myself that I don't normally get to. And it's just absolutely calm. I could be taking a hill shot and I'm nervous sitting in the chair, and then I'll get out of the chair and I'll look at the shot and I know for a fact I'm going to make it, and I just get this calm that washes over me. It's almost like the calm they talk about, like right before you die, right? all the fear and the anxiety and the trepidation that you had leading up to that for months was crazy, tumultuous. It was torturous. And then you get into that last few hours or last few days or whatever it is for some people, and you just hit this oasis of absolute peace within yourself. You can find that oasis does exist inside yourself. If you can land on that, if you can come to find that place inside yourself, let me tell you, the game that you have in that realm is your true game. Whatever your skill level is, that is where your true game resides. Without the fear and without all that, without all those variables of negativity. So I wanted to bring that into the light because I know, again, it's been talked about and people talk about it, but it's not really something that people spend a lot of time thinking about. We're all worried about where you're putting your foot and what kind of chalk you're using and what kind of shaft you have, and none of that matters. It really doesn't. I've taken house cues and played some of the best pool of my life, right? Literally with a $10 house cue. So that doesn't matter. What matters is what's going on inside ourselves at the time we're playing and how we feel, and that visualization. Are you actually seeing your shots? Are you actually able to accomplish what you're seeing? Putting that stuff together. And then all that other stuff matters. Don't get me wrong, there's hundreds of different things about this game that are all going to matter. But those are the two big ones for me. When you find your stroke, you find your cue that works, you find your confidence and stuff like that, you're going to have to go back to those types of things in matches when the heat is on, right? And you got your game in the box. Now it's time to perform. If you can find that oasis of calm, and it's a very small place inside ourselves. It's not a vast area where you can just look once and you'll find it. You have to look for it. You have to insist that you find that in yourself, and then when you do, really mark it, right? Put an X on that map on where that was, how you got there. Remember that feeling, and then strive for that every time you go in there. And that would be my advice today for how to bring your game to a more elevated positioning so that you can let your true game show. Let your skills that you've worked so hard for, let your skills shine when it matters the most. And that comes from finding that oasis. And the reason I wanted to bring up visualization in the context of this particular video was because for me personally, I don't see how people can play without it, right? I mean, it's like one of those things that's when you watch a guy play and he has absolutely no idea what he's doing, and you don't even know where to start to try to help this guy, right? He comes up to you, I love the game, and can you help me? And you're thinking, I don't even know where to start, right? You're not doing anything right. It's like that important. If you're not visualizing the shots, how in the world are you going to make the ball? How in the world are you going to get around the table? So it's that important to me, and it might be different for everybody. I can only speak for myself, but for me it is that important. So I just wanted to run these videos through real quick, share that with you guys. Visualize your shots. Find that inner calm that resides in all of us, that little island of where your inner game is going to be. The best that you can be. My dad told me when I was young, he said, listen, most people that get into emergency situations die from the same thing, no matter what the emergency is. I thought that was interesting. I asked him, well, what is it? And he said, it's called panic. People panic. Those same people that get into these types of situations, if they were all to remain calm throughout these situations, most of them would find a solution out of it, or a good portion of them would anyways. And I thought that was really interesting because I could definitely see how that would be an accurate statement, right? But anyways, so if we can find that calm within ourselves and we can visualize the shots, those are two really, really big ones. And I just wanted to share those with you guys. I need to check and see what video I'm on here. So this is 16, so we've got a few more to go. I just posted my 300th video a couple days ago, for all the good that has ever done me. But I did want to say that I really found this to be an interesting little, I don't know how long I've been doing it, I guess for about a year, but I've only really been playing with it pretty hard for about 6 months. And it's been really interesting to go back and look at some of these videos and see some of the decisions that I've made and the types of shots I'll take. And if you pause a video after the break and you look around at the table for 30 seconds and try to map out a pattern, and then you hit play, it's interesting to see how long you took looking at the pattern versus what you decided to take in the moment, versus if you actually look at what you're supposed to do. So there's so many different, aspects of this game that make it so interesting, and I believe that's why we all love it. That's my personal opinion. I really think we all love it because it's so increasingly difficult. The more you seem to learn, the more you realize you don't know anything about this game. It's kind of like, just exponentially harder. It just gets harder the more you know, until you hit, I'd say probably 5, 6, 7 years for most of us, and then you can start to understand the game, and then another 4, 5, 6 years and you can start to play well, and then another 5, 6, 7 years you might actually start being the champion that we all strive to be, or that we all imagine ourselves at some point wanting to be. It's a level of dedication I don't think many people are willing to really give what this game requires. What rack is this? 18. So it's tough out there. Yeah. We'll see. Oh, I remember this shot here. We got a combo to open up. We get a little bit hooked behind that, whatever that ball is. 2 ball, I guess. I don't know. And I'm looking at this shot, and I think, you know what? I'm going to bank it right off that 8 in the side. That was a pretty shot. And it means absolutely nothing if you don't run out behind it. One of the things about 9-ball, is they could make 8 of the most beautiful shots in the world and then hang the money ball, and it don't mean anything, And I guess some people like that. I'm not a fan of that, really. I think 9-ball really only works on a level where, you're going to get out I understand the game now. I think my level's high enough where I can play 9-ball, but I remember for years and years I wasn't able to get all the way out. And I would make really nice shots and play great shape shots and leave the guy in 8-9. And he'd walk up and go, tunk, and he'd win. Well, he didn't make all those great shots. I made all those great shots. You know what I mean? I just didn't like the game. I thought it was goofy. It is a goofy game, really. I can say that now with the ability to play and get out, that it's pretty goofy. But I think you have to be at a certain level to play this game. I don't think it's a game for amateurs, right? Well, with any luck, I'll be getting a new table in soon. This is the second to last rack. Tell you what I'm really liking right now is that modified Ghost that I'm playing. It's 9-ball and it's a full 10 racks and it's just counting your innings and then dividing that number by the number of racks you played. And it gives you a nice little goalpost on what you're doing and where you're at with your game. I just think it's really helpful. I haven't really been watching the table here, so I think this is still the 18th rack. Or I'm sorry, 19th rack. So we got one more after this one.
I hear you, but we'll go here.
This was way back when I was still using this side of the table, and looks like my McDermott did come in because I got a black shaft there, so looks like a pretty useful break. It's a beautiful game, but it can be very, very frustrating at times. This room that I'm playing in has obstacles like that one I'm hitting right now. And I'll have to jack up and yeah, like it isn't hard enough as it is, you know? But this is the table that the Lord has provided, and I'm grateful for it. It's not the one I wanted, but it's the one I got. and I'm making the most of it. So be happy, be grateful. All right, guys, I'm going to pocket this 9-ball, and I will talk to you later. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.